You've broken your nose. You've got the option of 3 people to perform your surgery. A third-year medical student, a doctor who's a couple years out of their residency, and another one who's been doing it for over 25 years. Which one pick the middle one. Why? Because the 10,000 hour rule is a lie. In this video, I'll tell you what the rule is, 3 reasons why it's false, and a better framework for you to use so you can become a master at anything you do. Malcolm Gladwell, scientist, researcher, and author of the book Outliers, popularized this rule that in order to become phenomenal at something, you need at least 10,000 hours of practice. But people took this excerpt from the book and misconstrued it. The quote has now changed into, you need to have at least 10,000 hours of practice before you master something. But if that was true, we should all be like world-class drivers, chefs, conversationalists. What about work? We all work a mad amount. We should all kill it at work. We should all be sick. But we know this is not true. Every single one of us have worked a job where someone's been there way longer than us and are way worse at it than us. I read this book called Peak. It's by Anders Ericsson and Robert Poole. And it's about the science behind excellence. Essentially, it talks about how purely putting time into something doesn't always help you improve. Here's a quote. Once you have reached a satisfactory skill level and automated your performance, you have stopped improving. In fact, the research shows if you aren't careful, the longer you do something, the worse you can become. Research on many specialties show that doctors who have been in practice for 20 or 30 years do worse on certain objective measures of performance than those who are just 2 or 3 years out of medical school. In the book, they found that only 2 out of 62 studies found doctors to have gotten better with experience. That's crazy. Now, obviously, doctors, they're skilled, they're qualified. If you break your nose, you're probably in good hands. But to say that someone who's been doing it longer, a plastic surgeon that's been cooking for 30 years, is objectively better than a person that's been doing it for 5, to assume that is a false assumption. And this seems counterintuitive. I mean, like, look at other fields. Kendrick Lamar, Simone Biles, Christopher Nolan, all these people, masters of their craft, they've put way more than 10,000 hours in. Is it luck? Is it talent? If they can keep getting better and we don't, what is the differentiator? There are 3 reasons why we don't improve at things over time. Let's use driving as an example. Think back to the time when you first got your driver's license. When you first got it, you celebrated. Hooray, fantastic. You saw your ID that came through the mail. It looks bad, ugly. What you're not thinking about is improving. Obviously, you're not thinking about improving. You're just gonna get better over time, right? No, we know this doesn't happen. After a while, you forget half of what you learn. It just becomes monotonous, boring, routine. Okay, after about 5 years, you just plateau. So that's number 1. We stagnate. We stop improving. Let's say you had a driving instructor before your test. So you were with him for a couple months, you take the test, you pass. Fantastic. Do you ever talk to that man again? No. You don't. And none of us have a driving instructor everywhere we go. I used to have one, but then I told my brother to shut up. After a while, we start making poor lane switches, we don't shoulder check, we speed, we roll through signs. Wait, I don't do this, but a lot of people do. And these habits will not fly on a driving test. The test we only take once. I took it once, you took it once. Literally, that white truck, like that guy took it once. Freaking your grandparents took it once. Joe Biden took, literally everyone took it once. And from the day you took that test, unless you see a Ford Explorer or a speed camera, no one is telling you how to drive correctly. Number 2, no feedback loop. We just keep using our instinct for years. Now, in some ways, our instinct gets better, but in a lot of ways, it doesn't. For this 3rd point, we gotta talk face to face, okay? When was the last time you opened a driver's handbook? When was the last time you studied any great drivers to try and figure out their technique and what they were doing and how to improve? I'm not talking about Lewis Hamilton. When was the last time you listened to any driver's education podcast, read any books to try and improve the craft? When was the last time? There's no last time. You haven't. None of us have. After a while, you've seen what you're going to see. You're going to drive how you're going to drive, and that's it. You stopped learning. You're probably thinking, I don't want to be the best driver in the world. I don't want to be the best at my job. I don't want to be the best guitarist in the world. I just want to be good enough. And that's fair. I'm not going to argue with you. But I urge you to look how you spend your free time. If you spend your free time entertaining yourself mostly, again, that's fine. But if you're a creative person, you probably have a couple hobbies that you really want to start. Or you have hobbies that you've already started, but you feel like you've stagnated, you're not improving. And you really want to improve because you know that your hobbies are more fun, like when you're actually good at them. How do you really improve? Like, a better question, how do you become great at something before 10,000 hours? There are 3 steps. And I can actually speak to this because I've gotten pretty good at telling stories through sound. I had this project, it's like a mystery thriller podcast, and it hit #1 in the US and Canada in its category. But how did I do it? I reversed the steps I was talking about earlier. So early 2023, I had this idea for a story. I was like, what if there was a single father that had to pick up his 9-year-old daughter from school, but she wasn't there? I was like, okay, we got something. So from that date, I set a new date. I was like, August 4th, 2023, this story is coming out, okay? I don't care what I think about the music, the writing, the acting, the sound design. I don't care what I think about it. I'm shipping it. On that day, it's going. No more tweaks, no more anything. Specific, actionable goal. This is how you improve, okay? Instead of playing around with one song on the guitar for years, or maybe tweaking your book forever, changing the words, or lifting different types of weights in a gym with nothing. No. Set a specific goal and commit to it. Reverse #2. Instead of working solo, have a short feedback loop. Before even writing anything down, I told the story to people. I literally, first person, I was like, yo, I went to pick up my daughter from school. I go to the classroom. The teacher's like, yo, she's sick. She went to the infirmary. I was like, okay. Went to the infirmary. The nurse is like, yo, I sent her back. I was like, yo. So I looked at my audience. I looked at the people I was conversing with. I was like, yo, are they engaged? Are they lining up? Where are they at? Are they confused? Am I losing them? And I use those tweaks, those short feedback loops to kind of tweak the script. Then I sent the script to an editor. So she's like, okay, this is working, this is not working, this is pretty good, I'm confused here, this is great, I hate this. Fast forward a couple months, I'm working with actors, I'm directing, they're reading some of the lines, they're like, yo, this makes no sense, my character would never do this, I don't get this line. I'm like, yeah, you're completely right. Making the change. Again, I played the main actor. So the person who played my wife, my scene partner, also gave me feedback. So I'm acting and she's like, yo, you're not mad enough at me. You're not mad enough. I was like, okay. And then I turned up the intensity, okay? Short feedback loops. Emphasis on short, okay? Am I playing the guitar in time, on key? Let me know. Am I running okay? Is my running form okay? Am I making the right incision on the nose? You have to be on this. If you wait too long, then you're just stagnating. And lastly, instead of coasting, continuously educate yourself on your craft. I was in the lab studying, YouTube, masterclass, online lectures, books, literally everything I could get my hands on. How does Christopher Nolan, Shonda Rhimes, James Patterson, the Duffer Brothers, John Scott, how do these people write? It's not about copying their process, it's about taking what works, taking what you resonate with, and leaving what you don't, okay? Humility is huge in this. Humility is huge. If you are just starting something, you are ass at it, okay? So just keep learning, keep grinding. Major tip, learn from people you admire from, okay? Learn from people that you look up to, dismiss people that you don't respect. There is no one rule that can help you become a master at something, okay? We both know this. You didn't need to click this video to figure that out. There are too many variables at play. Now, do you need a lot of time to become good at something? Yes, you also know this as well. But just because you put a crazy amount of time into something does not mean you have a crazy amount of skill. But if we want to become good at something, we have to start being more intentional with our time. In terms of how much time? 10,000 hours? Nah, we can do it in less.